Guys, I almost did not vlog this week. It is Thursday, it's a little afternoon, and this is the first time, this morning was the first time I picked up my camera all week. I really thought I wasn't going to just put up a vlog at all tomorrow because I have been busting my butt trying to finish these two clients' books by their deadlines by April so that April can be all about Camp Nanowrimo, Dragon Balloon, my book. And it's not like it was that bad of a crunch. I mean, I did plan for this, but I have not had a single moment to work on Dragon Balloon at all, to do any sort of prep. And I was thinking, well, what's the point of making a vlog if I haven't worked on my book? But then I realized, well, I mean, this is actually part of it because something did happen over the last week. It's not like I wasn't thinking about the book. I thought about the book a lot. And here's what happened. What happened is, you guys have probably heard me say, when you have an idea for a book, you need to write it fast. You need to get it out of your head. A big part of the reason I really preach that is because the longer you wait and the longer you let it sit, the more the doubt starts to creep in. And that's what's been happening over the last week. I have been so looking forward to April, and I still am. So looking forward to writing this book, but having taken time away from the document, from my zero draft, from everything, my brain has started bringing up little things about it that, and calling out how ridiculous it is. Like, for example, I have a MacGuffin. Actually, no, scratch that. I have a bunch of MacGuffins. And, you know, there is nothing inherently wrong with a MacGuffin. In fact, in fantasy in particular, sometimes it's really necessary. You can't have the story without it. It's the Lord of the Rings. That's the MacGuffin. Like, it's not a bad thing, but MacGuffins can be irritating and they can feel really contrived. And my brain started picking apart the MacGuffins in my book and criticizing them. I was essentially like writing reviews of how, in my head, of this story and how ridiculous this was. And then another thing that would pop up and bother me. This is not a standalone. I do want this to be a series. How many books is it going to be? I don't know. I kind of like the symmetry of a duology. You know, there's two worlds. I've talked about this before in the story, and this book is heavily in this world, and I see book 2 being heavily in this world, and I like the symmetry of that. But I don't know if that means I can finish telling the story in a second book. Maybe it's a trilogy. I have no idea, and that's okay. Of course that's okay, but my brain was telling me it's not okay, and you need to plan. And like, I'm foreshadowing things. In my zero draft, I can see places where I'm foreshadowing things that will happen by the end of the story, but also things that, ideas I have for the series arc that I haven't fully developed yet, but they're there, and I'm foreshadowing them, but I don't know exactly how I'm gonna wrap it up, and it's starting to like, what am I foreshadowing? These are all things that are totally normal at this point in the process, but that doesn't mean I don't feel the panic. And that is why I need to start writing this book, because I cannot let that panic consume me and make me afraid of writing the first draft. I felt like I had to get Rosa in the shot here. So here's the other thing. In the meantime, parallel to all of my like ghostwriting projects and working on my own book, the other big project I have, the thing I'm constantly working on, are my YouTube videos. And before I started my YouTube channel, the other big part of my life was teaching. I taught creative writing workshops. I had like 4 to 5 workshops a week. And what happens when you're constantly talking about the craft of writing and reading other writers' stories and helping them find the flaws or just figure out how to really make it the story that they want to tell, you know, that means you as a teacher or an instructor, you're constantly finding those flaws in your own writing, which is fine. But it makes me, I get really self-conscious. I start wondering, and again, this was true back before YouTube for me, when I was just teaching writing workshops. I was constantly wondering if I practiced what I preached, because I am positive that I have said something somewhere in one of my writing craft videos where I was like, this is what a good example of voice or a bad example of voice, or, you know, any kind of critical thing. You can probably go through any of my published books and find some place where I did not do that thing, because my writing is flawed. Of course it is. And the farther back you go to the beginning of my career, the more likely it is you're gonna find me not having practiced what I now preach. And I'm aware of that. Like, I want, whenever my students in my workshops, if they ever read one of my books, I want it to be a model example for them, you know? And here's where it gets kind of tricky. Oh, you're gonna bail on me? We're gonna move to get Rosa in the show again. There we go. Hi. Okay, so where it gets tricky is this. I think it's great, obviously, to constantly be looking for ways to improve your own writing. That should go without saying. We should all be doing that. And making these videos about the craft of writing, picking specific topics and really digging into them and finding examples, it's really helpful for me. But there is this line that I cross sometimes, and I started crossing it this last week. And that line is, I was critiquing a book that hasn't been written yet. I have not written my book. I have not even started the first draft. It is a, I don't know, 6,000-7,000 word messy AF summary and some index cards. That's all I've got of my story. And I am critiquing the voice, which I haven't found yet because I haven't started writing it. I am critiquing things like, what am I foreshadowing when I don't know what the next book, exactly how it's all going to play out, which again, kind of hard to do when you haven't written it yet. I'm critiquing all of these literary devices like the MacGuffin, or like I'm thinking of, is that cliffhanger really, you know, the best way that I could end that scene? I haven't written the scene yet. That's the trap that I fall into. And that is why I talk about trying to write a book as fast as you can. Again, always remembering that fast is relative. I am not going to define fast for you. Only you could do that. For some writers, writing a book in 3 months is fast. For some people, 6 months is fast. For some people, 3 weeks is fast. Whatever it is for you, but the point is, get it all out of your head before the doubt sets in enough. Thank you for that punctuation. To stop you from writing the book, from killing your passion for the story, because suddenly you're like, oh, this wasn't nearly as great an idea as I thought it was. It doesn't exist yet. You can't do that to yourself, and I am not going to let myself do that to myself. So I'm doing my best to push all of that out of my head. I finished one of my clients' books this morning, well, right before lunch, and yay. I'm gonna take my time this afternoon to read through it before I send it to her. I've got one more client, and have written a great deal of that book already, so I don't think that will be too hard to finish. I'm aiming for Monday. And then it's all about this book, and I am going to do my damnedest to work on it every single day of Camp Nanowrimo and enjoy it. These are my goals. Have fun writing every single scene. No doubts allowed. No doubts allowed, because it is going to be flawed, and I just need it to exist so that I can see what the story actually is on the page. And then I can start the next phase, of course, which is going to be probably revising it a whole lot of times. Anyway, that's it. That's my progress on my book this week, but I do think that's an important point, and I'm sure someone out there needs to hear it too. I think we all just constantly need that reminder. Don't criticize books that haven't been written. Right, Rosa? You think so too? Yes. All right, so that's gonna be it for this vlog, guys. I will see you Monday with another video, and by Friday, Next Friday, it will be April, and we are going to do this thing. I am super excited. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.